Hi guys! After one of my last videos you asked me to show you volume on top haircut. How I personally do this. I'm not a hairdresser, so volume on top has always been one of my most important things in terms of how to make myself look better. We're gonna talk about curly hair in the end. First let's talk about straight hair. Now my hair is very straight, as you know, and at that time my hair was pretty short as well, like this. So I went to a hairdresser and I asked them, can you do layers for me so the top would not be this flat? All of the hairdressers that I went to many years ago, they did all same thing, just one technique for everybody. They sectioned my hair approximately above my ear, all of it, all that top hair, lifted them up, and they cut it straight like this. What did we end up with? There were some layers, but they were very heavy, and too much of the hair on top was cut short. When there's a bunch of hair that is cut same length, it is becoming very heavy. It's much heavier than when it's very layered. So I ended up with almost nothing here on bottom and with a huge hat here on top, almost like a mullet of the 80s. That was actually pretty popular stuff in the 90s, I can tell you. In the 90s, so many girls actually did that heavy layering. So I blame the decade as well, but several years ago I just got this idea why I can't cut it myself. I started paying more attention on the physical behavior of my personal hair. Everybody's hair is different in thickness. And if it's different in thickness, it has different physical behavior. It has different weight. You have to know this weight before you cut your hair.
Let me grab one of my longest hair so I would show you.
This is my longest hair. It's hanging down like this. It's pretty heavy, you know, even though it's very thin. So when I'm changing the angle of the root, because our roots on top are looking up, right? It grows from lower to higher position. Let me change the position of the root. So you can see the bend here. It falls down almost immediately, right away. And the curve here is very small. And this curve is not enough to hold this hair up so it would keep the volume, because there are loads of hair around this one that will pull it down even more. Every hair of different people will act differently if we do this test. Okay, this is the longest. Now I'm taking the scissors and I'm gonna cut it shorter. Now I'm moving my hand so to create that bend. You can see how light that is. It's much lighter now. It has slightly different bend here, acting differently. So we removed some excess weight here. Let me cut it even shorter. That's it. This is how it goes. No weights anymore that would grab it down. What this little trick shows us, it basically shows us that the shorter the hair, the lighter that is. And the bend itself is different. If the hair is long, the bend is too small. And this bend is not enough. And the rest is kind of flat and it's just grabbing your head like that. The shorter the hair is, the bigger the bend is. And if you cut it too short, then it's gonna stand up like this. Probably you've had this situation when new hair was growing up and you had some baby hair kind of sticking out like this just because it's not enough length, not enough weight. So everybody has different physical behavior of their hair. So you need to just make this test at home. Just see, cut it shorter, and notice when the bend is rounded approximately like this. Just see the size of the head. You don't want the bend would be like this, right? And you don't want to, in my case now it's too much, but anyways, I'm growing my hair now back because I want to reshape some of the layers, and I'm going to show you this in several months. First of all, decide which parting is the most often for you. For me, it's slightly on the side here. So when I was cutting it, that's what I tried to do. I picked up one very small amount of hair, like that. I didn't cut it like this. I didn't close it fully. I did that kind of movements. And slide like this. They are moving only in the middle, but not like this. Otherwise, you can just cut it too straight and it will be very visible, especially if you have same coloration of your hair and especially if you have light hair. And never place the scissors like this. Always place them almost parallel to the hair, okay? And move, and slide your hand also towards that direction. Some hair will be in your hand, it will be just several hair. You won't even notice this. The most important thing is don't grab a lot of hair like this, and don't do it. Just do it one piece at a time. Then tousle it a little bit. You will already see how that shorter hair ends are stuck a bit higher on the hair that is underneath, that is longer, and lift itself up. Just try to understand your hair. Try to understand how does it bend. First make it longer, and then you can make it shorter, some of the pieces. So how I did this, I grabbed one on the back, did this, second, did this, going forward, did this, and here I did longer. I didn't want my bangs to be short. I always wanted my front piece would be long. The more forward I went, the less hair I tried to cut, and the lower I did the cut. So it was shorter, more hair, longer, less hair, longer, less hair, longer, less hair, longer, less hair. So sometime later I decided to trim my hair and to show you how basically I do this. I always start from the back, and I already know my perfect length for the top hair. And of course, when I did it for the first time, my top hair was also long. So I had to cut off the long hair. And now I just trim it. If it grows half of an inch longer, it doesn't keep that rounded shape on top anymore, the way I want it, so I like to trim it from time to time. Normally I do it once a 3 months. So as you can see, when I go to my front pieces, I make them longer and I cut less hair. And I always try to remember where I have cut it already. So I've trained myself so I know every part of my hair pretty well. That's how I personally did this. Some hairdressers might say that's shit. Probably that is, I don't know. For me it was much easier to deal with. The plus of that thing is that layers are very gradual. Very gradual. So you almost can't see this. And just to make it more invisible, some of the layers I did longer. Just slightly connect that shorter pieces with longer. So when I was curling my hair, or I just wanted my hair to be straight, that really helped me to have that volume on top. And for example, I used some dry shampoo and I was good to go. And it works with both, with long hair and with short hair. And also that looks even less visible with balayage. Because if you have highlight, the color and the volume differences mixed one into another, and you kind of can't see if that's the color or if that's just a natural shadow, or if hair is longer there or shorter, you can't see this. So if you're brave enough and you have nothing to lose, you can try it. Why not? If that's something that you have always wanted to try. Just take one very small piece at a time. Because even if there's just a very small amount of hair, it will create some volume on top anyways. Now let's talk about curly hair. And actually that's a very similar situation. Because girls with curly hair also can have flat top, and they constantly have a feeling to lift it up somehow. Sometimes when they cut their layers up to here, they can end up with that kind of shape. So they keep having that flat top and they have width on the sides. That's just because the length of that top hair doesn't keep that bend on top, like I showed you before. Basically, we need to reshape that layering a little bit to correct that bend on top and to remove that width on the sides. You can also make this test like I showed you. This is how I drew my hand on the right, if you didn't recognize that. So yeah, just cut it shorter, and see what kind of lengths it needs to keep the band. And this is what we approximately end up with if we do that reshaping. So this is the layering we're going for. Let me know if that was helpful, or maybe you have some better idea, just let me know. For some of you who asked, my recordings are finally for sale, so I'm gonna leave the links down below under this video. And thank you so much guys for support. Thank you. Bye-bye.